at 3:30 when we go next door, there's a piano. That Betty and perhaps others could be provoked to sing a song that we will.
The Irish wouldn't win.
Yeah, we'll be there.
We'll all be there. We can't be.
We're going to sing.
Pat Conley of St. Paul, Minnesota, is the granddaughter of Richard Lyons Jr., and the great-granddaughter of Vic Lyons. And we had a chance correspondence over the last year, which led to all kinds of family revelations. So Pat continues a family tradition of public service as a political analyst for the Minnesota Association of Counties. So we're very happy to welcome Pat and her mother, Toni Lyons Conley, who come forward.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'm so glad to hear that there are Democrats in South Dakota, because as a Minnesota Democrat, I often get chided when I mention that my family hails from South Dakota. I must say, just east of here, we feel extremely sorry for those of you in South Dakota. And I do have an offer from some of the western counties in Minnesota who are willing to become East Dakota with those of you in the east of the Missouri River here. And there will be no taxes in the state of East Dakota. So I want you all to think about it. I know that Richard Lyons had a real impact on the original development of South Dakota. I am the great-great-granddaughter of Jeremiah Lyons, the great-granddaughter of Richard Francis Lyons Sr., and the granddaughter of Red Dick. I never heard that expression until yesterday, Lyons. And the daughter of Toni Lyons Conley. Today I won't take much of your time because I know it's getting to be late, and I earn my pay by being short and sweet. But I will tell you a couple of stories that I think can put this kind of mysterious branch of the family in perspective. My family and the children of Richard Lyons, Red Dick Lyons, left South Dakota many years ago. I knew the Lyonses only as people who lived in Vermont. I knew that somehow they had failed in South Dakota, and sometime in the late 1890s had emigrated to Vermont. Not until the movie, you may have all seen it, Dances with Wolves came out, was anyone in my family ever happy or knew that we came from South Dakota. And this movie is the reason that I believe many of us are here today. Closest we come, to living in the Old West. But nonetheless, I think my Uncle Henry Lyons, who spoke earlier, was not properly proud enough of himself. He has been a very successful psychiatrist and a very successful leader in the community of Gainesville, Florida, and he and Peg are the parents of 5 superb children, one of whom you've heard from today. My mother and father also lived in Washington, D.C., and I think they should be justly proud of all 4 of us. But I'd like to talk a little bit about my grandmother and my mother today. My grandmother was left, as my Uncle Henry has mentioned, to raise 2 children in South Dakota alone in the early 1920s. Really not having any resources to deal with, she relied on her family, both the Lyonses and most importantly the Billions. She decided that the only way that she could survive was to go back to school and get a degree in nursing, kind of a liberated woman of the 20s. She went to Columbia University, became a nurse. Her 2 children were raised both by herself and her sister, Marie Antoinette Billions, and her husband, William Harrington. My grandmother, I think, is a superb example of a woman who has got life threw up on her and she was able to survive. She did a wonderful job, and I have to just say a moment of gratitude to her for all that she did. My mother, I think, is also an interesting person, and you should know about her. In 1940-41, she was working as a secretary clerk in the United States Marine Corps office in Washington, D.C. Around that time, you may recall the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. Her boss came in one day and said, well, Toni, we got to get some women in the Marine Corps. I mean, if we don't get some women in here, we're in deep doo-doo. So you are going to become an officer in the United States Marine Corps. And my mother is a member of the first class of women officers in the United States Marine Corps, which I think is So just in closing, I will say, I'll tell you 2 things. When I was growing up, would say, Your mother wore army boots? I thought everyone's mother wore army boots. Finally, just I'll close with one story. I was talking to a friend of mine who hails from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and I meant to tell Mark Peisch this, so Mark, I'm telling you. And I was telling her that Thomas Daniel Lyons was in Oklahoma. And she said, Lyons? Well, that's a very famous name in Tulsa. And you may have known that a lot of us seen this movie, Dances with Wolves. We're out here because we're hoping to see some Indians and some wildlife and stuff like that. She said, Lyons is a really famous name in Tulsa. She said, it's a big Indian family. You wouldn't be related to them, would you? So I'd like to find out what exactly happened to the family of Thomas D. Lyons before the day ends.
My cousin Angela Lyons Danielson is here today from Oakland, California. And among her other great accomplishments in life, she is the one who delivered my brother Tom in 1936 at the farm in Yankton. But she has other accomplishments in her life, and we'd like to invite Angela here for a few minutes.
Can everybody hear me? After all of these great orations, I really haven't much to say. I am Angela Lyons Danielson, and I'm the daughter of D.B. Lyons, and the oldest granddaughter of Will and Katie Crossgrove, who had 27 grandchildren. So you know where we're going from there. When I was a little girl, I lived with my grandparents for a year. My grandfather, Will, was always referred to as the boss, but it was always my impression that it was Katie, our grandmother, who was really the boss. Anyhow, Grandfather Will, the youngest child of Ellen and Jerry Lyons, was a kind and good man, and I loved him very much. And while I'm here, I'd like to thank all of the Yankton Lyonses for the wonderful, great occasion they have produced for all of us today.
I would at least like to call upon one person who may not be prepared but rarely needs preparation. This last week we've had my brothers from Yankton, our wives, have had the grandest two occasions with our cousins, the Maloneys of Madison, John and his wife Jerry, and with Giles Maloney from Oregon. And I'll rapidly review this. On Monday night, we went to Vermillion to a city council meeting where their grandfather's portrait and our great uncle's portrait was officially hung in the city council chambers. But then we joined them again for a day in Madison on Wednesday, and we retraced through our stories and through our visits to the cemetery, the family history. And John, would you at least like to say hello to the group or anything else that might be on your mind?
I'll just thank you for the introduction, and thank you for the way you've treated us here in Yankton. We all appreciate it very much.
Well, some of you may know this. I already introduced the mayor, Jane Dooley Krantz of Madison, but I think I neglected to say to the group that she has reason to believe that she is a distant relative of ours on our great-grandmother's side through the Whalen family. And if she doesn't, she certainly has exhibited exquisite taste to claim to this. Giles, you would rarely not have a word, and you may have a brief word. Would you like to? Excuse me. I should first acknowledge Giles' wife, Mildred, passed away recently, and her remains will be buried in the Madison Cemetery on Wednesday, and we were very happy to meet Giles. Giles, you want to say hello to us?
speech, and I'm just like Dick Nixon.
It had to come out. Well, Kathy Robinson Perko is here today with us.